Welcome to Denver, Colorado, and the November 5th edition of Tip Off. I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. Glad to be with you, recording this at 8:45 in the morning Mountain Time. You are listening whenever, wherever, and however you wish. That's the beauty of the world you live in today. Hope everyone's doing well. Glad to have you with us. Jazz and the Nuggets tonight after a disappointing game last night against Portland. We'll break it down. We'll look at some interesting numbers, some good, some not so good for where the Utah Jazz are right now, and some of the individual players, what's going on with them. We'll take a look at that. What happened last night? How can Portland, a team that's supposedly so undermanned, and though frankly I've liked them a little more than most people all year, how can they cause us such problems? We'll break that down for you, and we'll look at the NBA 5. But first, we like to do something we call Pins Across the World. By the way, great crowd last night. Too bad the Jazz didn't give you a little more to cheer about. I thought everybody did a really nice job last night. A few people got special emails during the day and got to attend the game. So I hope that they enjoyed it and that was worth it. All right, let's see. I think this is – I don't think I've done this one. This is Matt Harvey is our pin across the world. My name is Matt Harvey. I want to thank you very much for the chance to meet you the other night at the Select a Seat event. I was with my buddy Scott Lambert. Bunch of nice words about me that you don't want to hear about. I listen to Tip Off every day. Look forward to it. I have it alongside my Diet Dr. Pepper rather than my coffee. I like this. I have a coffee. I have an espresso maker in the room. This is actually for the gym, though. Jazz map, you can add Ogden, Utah. You know, we hadn't added Ogden, Utah. I've been a Jazz fan ever since I came in the world. I grew up watching Stockton Malone, listening to Hot Rod and Ron. I still remember as a young kid going to Jazz games, even the 93 All-Star game. I've been alongside the Jazz through the ups and downs, and now I'm finally a season ticket holder and can't wait for the upcoming season. That's awesome progression. Way to go, Matt. I've been listening to Tip Off for a few years, hand down my favorite sports podcast. Great work. Bunch of nice words on that regard, but you don't want to hear about that. By the way, I looked up the picture of Jody Genessy, and you told me I look like him, and I couldn't stop laughing. Great comparison. I told someone you look like Jody. I really did. Oh, no. Love Jody. Everyone loves Jody. All right, let's get into the NBA 5 first to lead off the show today. Bunch of interesting results in last night's game, and then some big picture things. By the way, last night coming in, home teams were 25 and 34. We talked about that. Home teams won all but 2 last night. Some interesting games, though. Obviously, I think the big stunner of the night is that the Toronto Raptors go into Oklahoma City and win. And what I find interesting, I will say this to the end, I have thought that the Scott Brooks criticism was a bit insane. I get that his offense wasn't aesthetically pleasing, but it worked and it was efficient. And so I've never understood why everybody wanted to kill him so much. Well, last night, the Oklahoma City Thunder scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. The whole reason Scott Brooks got fired in Oklahoma City is because his offense was too boring and too inefficient and too slow and, and not creative enough late in games. And last night, Oklahoma City scored 17 points in the fourth quarter, got outscored by the Raptors 30-17. Toronto is 5-0. Damari Carroll, I loved Amir Johnson. I thought the loss of Amir Johnson would hurt them. They're playing Luis Scola as their power forward for 19 minutes a night. Bismack Biyombo's following him, Jonas Valanciunas. It's an interesting mix of a team that kind of gels together, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. DeRozan's generally inefficient, but he went to the line 15 times last night, so he certainly wasn't. Damari is having an impact playing grinded, gutty defense. It's curious to me. Curious to watch how that works. Our boy Enes Kanter last night just going to put up mammoth numbers this year off the bench. He had 15 points and 6 rebounds in 17 minutes. They are paying him, a max contract to play 17 minutes a night off the bench. Interesting. Oklahoma City won 7 with Durant, Ibaka, and Westbrook. Oklahoma City won 72% of their games with Scott Brooks as their head coach. So let's see what happens here. Fred Hoiberg, Billy Donovan, these coaches have come straight from college without a pro background, without a D League, or without working on pro staffs. That has traditionally not worked. Brad Stevens is is the one that everyone says it's worked so well. I'm not entirely sure what he's done yet. And I think Boston and Utah are interesting comparisons right now. Both these teams are these kind of up-and-coming teams, and Milwaukee that are playing with expectation finally. I saw it visibly last night in us that for the first time ever, our guys were in a game trailing that they thought they should win, or that, moreover, they thought they needed to win or were supposed to win. And there is an entire psychology and mentality to what's going on, I think, for Boston, who lost another close one last night, 100-98, to Milwaukee, who is not playing particularly well. They are 2-3 with a win over Philadelphia last night, but they beat Philadelphia at home 91-87. I mean, I think there's some problems with Milwaukee's roster too. But there's problems with Boston's roster and there's problems with our roster. I think there's a whole element to those three teams are playing games with expectation for the very first time in their NBA careers. It's what happened to Phoenix last year a little bit. Phoenix played this entire year with no expectation, no one thinking anything of them. They were great. They made this run. Everyone's hunky-dory. They're the team next year. Boom. New Orleans is close to that right now. New Orleans, all these expectations, what are they going to do? And they change their coach. They're 0-5. There's a whole process to playing games with expectation. And last night, I thought you visibly saw with the Utah Jazz that when it got tough at moments, and they were behind the third quarter, they started doing crazy stuff. Trey dribbles it out of bounds. Somebody else took a ridiculous shot. They were pressing. Millsap makes a stupid foul. It's a minor thing on the Millsap foul. Like, it doesn't seem that big a deal. It's a fourth-team foul. Who really cares to reach in with a minute and a half left? Yeah, but on the next play, we commit a foul, and so now the guy's going to the free throw line. 2 points. And if you're going to try to win, those 2 points don't matter, and now you start to press. These guys, I thought, were pressing last night. It's part of what's going on with their open shooting. It's part of going with their overall play. And I think probably if we go look at Boston, I haven't watched that game yet, or if you go look at Milwaukee, you go look at New Orleans, who are the teams that are suddenly playing with expectation that have never done it before or trying to learn how to win. Orlando is trying to learn how to win. Orlando's played 4 really good games this year, and they lose in overtime again last night or close one again. Last night was overtime to Houston. Fournier has been huge. Evan Fournier had 29 last night for Orlando. Aaron Gordon finally got minutes after playing 4 minutes the night before. He had 19 points, 8 rebounds, an assist, and a block. Love him. He doesn't have a lot of range in a shot, but he should be playing instead of Jason Smith. Dwight Howard finally kind of looked like Dwight Howard last night. 10 of 10 from the field, 23 points, 14 rebounds. James Harden had 28, went to the line 17 times. That offense is still not right there. But what you saw last night for the first time was the Rockets creating opportunities for their other guys. It's worth noting that Houston is playing without Montejunas, who I think is really an important piece to them, and playing without Jones. So they're shorthanded along the way. Other few notes for you around the NBA 5 last night. Steph Curry is averaging 36 points a game, making 52% of his three-point shots, and dishing out 6 assists a game. 36 points per game, 52% from 3, and 6 assists per game. Go ahead, put him in the sentence with whomever you want. Michael, anyone at this point. So if it lasts, certainly. But at this moment, at this time, yeah, that's the level he's on. Great piece today by Kevin Pelton. Anthony Davis last year, nearly 40% of Anthony Davis's shot attempts came inside the restricted area. This year, it's down to 16.7% of his shot attempts. It's a real change for Anthony Davis. It makes you wonder what's going on a little bit. And it's changed the system and changed how they're playing, and surprising to see that from Anthony Davis and Alvin Gentry. Lee Jenkins on a really good podcast with Chris Mannix, and Chris Mannix did a great interview with Al Jefferson. It's worth going to grab. That's a nice. They seem to be doing a good job. He brought up this idea, like, when did Alvin Gentry become such a guaranteed brilliant head coach? And I've tried to bring this up the whole time. I'm not trying to dog Alvin. He's one of the guys I enjoy being around the most in this league. But not the fan base per se, but the media went nuts this offseason about how brilliant Alvin Gentry is. I don't know. Do I have anything else? Oh, by the way, Portland, the Lakers, and Philadelphia are going to make a serious run for the worst team in the NBA. Holy smokes. All right, let's go to the Jazz last night. That was not a good performance. I do think pressure's got a lot to do with this. This team's going to have to learn how to play with the expectation of wanting and needing to win. It's something they've never had to do before. And I think that's going to be a large part of the season. And again, go back to how many guys we talked about that are doing something that nobody has done before. Rudy starting at center for the first time. And we ran through it, right? Rodney's a starting shooting guard in the NBA for the first time. Raul Neto is starting for the first time. Only 2 of our 5 starters have ever done this before. That's a significant, when you look at our team, that's significant. CJ McCollum's doing it for the first time. It looks great. Congrats. I mean, he looks great. And he's having a huge bust-out year right now. Plumlee has been a starting center before for them. Myers Leonard has not. That's new for them. They're going through it too. Portland and Utah were the 2 teams with the most guys playing a new position. I haven't done all my Denver prep yet. I'm busting open my packet right now to see if they're going to give me what their projected lineup is. They have so many injuries, I'm not sure. But if it's what I would believe it to be on a traditional night, 4 of their 5 guys have done this before. Moutier's their only one. So there's going to be a level where the Jazz have these nights that are frustrating and bad because of who they are. If they start Gary Harris at the 2, then that's new for him as well. And breaking down the game X's and O's wise, the Jazz bigs just didn't get out and get on Lillard and McCollum early. That created a rhythm for them. Then when they started changing things up, those guys were rolling. And then when they started over-pressuring, Portland was so beautifully spaced. And maybe the best example and moment of the game in which to see that was there's a 2-play sequence in which Mo Harkless goes from the right corner wide open, ball fakes, and drives into the basket. And then on the next possession, hits a corner 3. And if I remember correctly, this is in the 3rd quarter when the Jazz are making a run. And this is the Jazz making the effort to get the ball out of the hand of Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum and to try to change the game in that regard. And Harkless comes up with, is wide open on back-to-back plays because the Jazz are getting stretched out so terribly because of the guards. Their pickup points were probably a little high, and so that probably could be fixed a little bit. But everything was just off a little bit. The Jazz just didn't execute that game plan. Rudy, it's a tough matchup for the Jazz. I said that coming in. Rudy Gobert is being asked to play 30, 40 feet away from the basket at times, and that's just not where you want him. But these guys get driving downhill, and then it becomes even worse. So that's, give them some credit. They were really, really good. Jazz got it down to 91, 79-72 within 7, and Harkless hits the layup to make it 81-72, and then on the next play, after that, he hits a 3. And those 2 plays, and you know what, I think one of them was off a little bit of a scramble, but if you look at how these 2 plays go down, it's here. Let's screen share. I'm pulling them up. I can pull them up right now. I have no idea if this is going to work. I was not planning on doing this at all. Let's see if we get the right play. I have no idea. But if we look at it, what I think we'll probably see here is, Alec is shadowing Lillard, trying to deny him the ball as best they can. Here comes CJ McCollum up top. They're going to run a pick and roll with Plumlee. Now Favors is going to go pressure. So now Derek Favors is pressuring off the ball outside the 3-point line. It's pretty good defense right here by the Jazz. Hayward's over on Aminu. Lillard's on the far side, but Alec has shifted over. Trey shifted over. They hit Plumlee on the roll. Trey comes to cut him off perfectly. But look at what the Blazers have been able to do here. Because they forced you out so wide, Look how much of their their red shade is covering the floor. And Plumlee's a good passer. He hits Harkless, and he drives to the basket. That's them being good. Let's see if this one comes up as well. Same concept, except for I don't have my pause button here. So, oh, now I do. All right, so Dame comes up. He's met by Rodney Hood. Nice little pin down fake action. Rolls into a kind of switch pick and roll. Like the Jazz are probably supposed to switch this right here. They don't, and runs into another. So a lot of nice little false action that leads into a high pick and roll. Again with Favors. Harkless goes down to the corner. Hayward, this is an open side. Hayward's got a shade off of Harkless to deal with the pick and roll. Favors probably needs to be higher on Lillard on this one. He gets in, kicks to the corner. Derek probably, if we go back and look at that one, and Derek may really be the guy that drives our bus and who we are, because he was short on energy last night with what was going on with him. But this is just where they're really good. At this point, the Jazz are trying to take the game out of Lillard. I want to watch this pick again with Plumlee. Nice little false action. That's their flare action. Gordon's probably supposed to go over, but it doesn't really matter. They deal with it. And here's the pick. And, yeah, Derek probably needs to shade out a little bit more. This one's not played as well as the other, but Gordon does his job, which is to cut that off. And the floor's wide and spaced and big, and Portland's executed very, very well. And they made their shots. Let's not kid ourselves. That's what a lot of this game is. And there's a regression. I mean, the Jazz came into the game as the number one spot-up team in the NBA. That's probably not realistic to who we are. So we started to miss a few shots in that regard. A few other things. We're not good in transition. It's really stunning. We're shooting 12 of 31 in transition this year. And we're turning it over 21% of our transition chances. I'm pretty certain it ranks 30th in the NBA. We've got to find a way to get transition opportunities. Just have to find a way to and to make them. Good news, Trey Burke is shooting 50% off the pick and roll this year. It's awesome. Really playing it well. There's a serious lack of assists going on for a lot of passes. And assists are important in the sense of whether it determines you're a good offensive team or not. Early numerical trend of disturbance. If you look at playing pairs, 4 games, not enough, but keep an eye on Alec and Trey together. Not great. No, not great on some defensive things on Alec and Trey either. But keep an eye. I gotta be honest. Just from the very first day I saw it in LA, I just am uncomfortable with Alec and Trey together. I don't know what you're supposed to do about it, though. So I hate saying this because usually I like to have a solution, but I don't know. I don't think the answer is starting Trey or starting Alec. And it's interesting. Trey's playing much better if he's on the floor with Gordon than if he's not. Alec is. We've built Alec up as this Vinnie Johnson or 6-man scorer. But if you look traditionally at Alec's numbers, Alec is much better when playing with better players. One note on Alec, 4 of 16 shooting outside 15 feet. 4 of 16 shooting outside 15 feet. It's not great. And then there's the other one. Gordon's got to play better. So, hey, we're 3-2. We haven't clicked in. There's some major new pieces that have got to figure each other out. And we don't necessarily have guys playing at their top level right now. We're 2-2, not 3-2. Gordon's got to play better. He's our best player, and we need more out of him. Okay, he knows it. He's got a track record having done this before and been successful. We probably should remember he did have some surgery in the offseason. So his offseason training might not have been as smooth as it has been some other times in his career. He is 35% from the field and 30% from 3. That's just, it's not enough. His angle right 3, which has been his best shot of his NBA career, he's 0 of 5. Like, that's his money shot. Okay, that's not going to last. His mid-range right side is back on. He's just off kilter. His kind of middle mid-range is also that fading back power play he had last year where he got in guys and faded back. In that area of the floor, he's 2 of 12 right now. One other note on player stats I looked at, and I thought I'd be curious to watch. Alec Burks did not finish well at the rim last year after finishing very well at the rim the 2 years previous, and the answer was the shoulder, right? Do you remember that? We all talked about this a lot, that Alec was at the rim, restricted area went from 64% to 51% last year, and the easy answer was the shoulder. So it's something that I was just going to keep an eye on this year and see when it rose back up to the 64% level that it was previously. It has not gotten there yet. It is still at about the 50% level. Was one kind of interesting find I had today on things that, so we'll figure it out, or we'll get to the comment Dennis Lindsay made. We're going to see how this roster fits together, and maybe we're going to find out that there's some pieces that don't fit as well, and you start to have to make some adjustments. We'll see. Small sample size still. Alec at the rim is at 52.4%, so up from last year, but not yet where he was 2 years ago. So he'll get better at that and make that a little bit better. All right, that's quick thoughts for you on the day and where the Jazz are. I hope you have a good one. Got to go prep for another ball game. I'll be in my hotel room all day if you want to say hi. No, I'm just kidding. That's what today's a go outside probably right now to get a breakfast burrito and a coffee and then spend the rest of the day inside prepping. So thanks very much for tuning in. I didn't check and see if any questions came in. Let me see if. And the answer is no. Nobody asked a question today. Have a good one. Follow me on Twitter at Locked On Sports. Facebook is David Locke and Locked On Sports. Snapchat, I'm having major problems with my LG G3 phone. It's fading in and out at times, and so I'm trying to figure out which apps are causing that right now. And so that is so Snapchat didn't happen yesterday. All right, it is tip off. See ya. Have a good one.